There's a Delta-8 THC craze going on in the US right now. I'm afraid that this is based on a bunch of misconceptions. But let's start at the beginning. What is Delta-8 THC? Well, regular THC is Delta-9 THC. It just means that there's a little switch in position. But what we know about Delta-8, and again, we don't have a lot of formal testing in humans, so with an exception I'll get to, but it is a partial agonist at the CB1 receptor like Delta-9. It is felt but not yet demonstrated that it might be a little less potent. Online, there are all kinds of claims that it doesn't produce the same level of anxiety that Delta-9 THC does. But what has happened is, with the so-called Farm Bill in the US, there's been an interpretation, an erroneous one I would add, by many people that Delta-8 that is produced in the lab from CBD, this conversion from CBD to Delta-8 THC, that it would be legal because the original source as hemp was legal. But this is totally erroneous. In fact, it's clear from the Controlled Substances Act that when you take hemp and start dickering with it to produce other things, that you're in a clear illegal zone. Additionally, there's additional legislation in the US, the Analogs Act, that means if you're making something that is an analog of something that's Schedule 1 and forbidden, the same is true of what you produced. So I will say unequivocally that Delta-8 THC is illegal in the US. Now, that neglects what medical benefits it might have. The best study was one out of Israel in the 90s, Abrahamoff and et al. They used Delta-8 THC to treat nausea and vomiting in a group of children who were undergoing chemotherapy for cancer. And the results were uniformly beneficial in allaying nausea and vomiting in this population, and there was very little in the way of psychoactive effects. Now, we have to couple that with the knowledge that kids under 10 don't usually manifest the psychoactivity of THC in general to the same extent as adults. I mean, some people think that kids are just naturally stoned, but the fact is, and this has been well documented going back to the 19th century, that younger children tolerate doses of THC that would clearly cause problems in an adult. Yeah, on the plus side, Delta-8, because it's more stable than Delta-9 THC, may have good medical applications, but no one should be fooled into thinking that this is a loophole legally around the illegality of cannabis in most jurisdictions. Yeah, so it's unfortunate that we've got this craze going on. Some state legislatures have moved to make Delta-8 illegal. I expect at some point there'll be federal directed attention to this issue, but yeah, people are really, well, they're grasping at opportunities, motivated by financial gain, I'm sure, but the legal issue is clear. You know, this is the same story we keep seeing, and this is one reason I'm coming down so hard on this. Yeah, this is a potentially therapeutic molecule, and, you know, its efforts to investigate it properly and get it to patients who might benefit from its use are going to be stymied by all this mishigas, to use a Yiddish word, associated with the Delta-8 craze. Now, I should mention one other thing that's important. This is not an artificial component. With advanced analytical techniques, it's been shown that Delta-8 is a natural component of cannabis in lesser amounts, but there's some varieties where it seems to be in equal amounts to THC. It's just that previously the analytics weren't sophisticated enough to separate the two. They have the same molecular weight, they're analogs, and so telling the difference between them was a bit technically challenging, but it is 2021, and the capability is there now with the proper equipment.